Get a couple of profiles on here. That one's sloppy. Wow. Wouldn't expect it looking like that. That one's going to be sloppy too. Well, seems like no matter what I do, all the volume ends up being a little bit higher, but I don't think we can discount this too much. We've really got to see this break down and break a range. So this is this sort of transition here. And there's another one here. I know I'm just covering the chart and probably confusing some of you, but this is what sort of gave me the idea that we're falling over, and it's because there's all of this activity starting all the way back from here that creates a bit of a shelf right here, and we just broke through that with some pretty serious force. So you know, can we trade back up and grab something right here? Well, that'd be nice, right? If you could get it right here right now. But look how close we are to where the volume on the bottom is. And that, I think, is the bigger problem. So I'm hesitant to try and trade anything here. Well, I mean, let's put a risk to reward on it. Let's just look at it. So let's say you get in there. See what we come up against. If we hold close, and we're 4 ticks away from this point of control, 3 ticks away from the value area. If we hold and move back up, I think we're just going to be stuck in a range. So I hate to get involved in a trade until we take these levels out. I'm going to get some of this junk off of here. I don't think it's helping at all. Why don't we do this? We can see the volume clusters that are down here and the fact that we've traded another low and another low there. Why don't we just use a line? I always would prefer to have a cluster sticking out saying don't trade until you get past here, but I think this is probably going to make more sense. Get some of these off of here. So I mean, you could probably flub it a little bit if we came back up and were able to get into a trade here. But I think to really hold yourself to some rules, I think this is the kind of thing that we just can't do. So let's just sit on it. The risk to reward puts us, right back into the same place. So let's wait. We can either get out of the top. I'm just going to put something across that whole thing because that's really messy. Boy, none of these profiles look good at all. Let's just put another line there where we've got a clear to the top side. We'll get this off of here. Okay, so I want you to take a look at what's going on here. We're coming back up. I don't know if we're going to reach this, but we're right at the transition point with the CWAP. The VWAP's back behind it. The problem for me is that we just traded to here. Right? That's exactly where we traded down to. Actually, I guess technically we're right there. Right? So that's sort of where we would expect the range to die. And then to get 2 to 1 on the trade, we basically have to go lower, right? We got to trade back down to the same low or pretty close to it, and the volume's all higher. I just got to pass on this one. I don't think that there's enough reason to justify the risk, so I'll just sit on it, and if it works out, we can we can cry about it later. Okay, well that would have been our fill. We would have been a tick in front of the CWAP, so not much risk now. It was a lot bigger on the last push. I imagine with a 3 or 4 tick stop, this would have been an easy one to take. Well, unfortunately, that trade worked really well without us. I couldn't justify the risk. And sometimes that's going to happen where the trade works out perfect and your logic tells you that there's just no way you can justify it. And I think you've got to put that in the right category and just say that that you did it right. If you start overthinking every trade and saying, "Oh, well, I saw one of those work once," that's not going to be good enough. And in this case, I'm obviously upset that we weren't able to take this all the way across the range. But now at least we've broken down through some of the volume, right? And we know from the earlier profiles that there's not a whole lot here. So I think as long as we can clear some of these lows, I'll actually look for this to come back up. And ideally we can find something around these transitions to trade into. I think this is going to be too high to come all the way back up there. But let's just let it play out. There goes the seller. They really got jammed up here. This took a while to form, and so that's where we want to see the entry come in. So we've got a good transition. It's really this whole range here, I guess. We came down, held, came down again, pushed very hard to get through here. But our CWAP's all the way up above, so I don't think there's much we can do about it. I don't see a way in there. Look how this is coming together now. Now our CWAP, we've broken down through the range, and now our CWAP is falling right on that transition area. Stop is probably a little big. Let's do the old risk to reward and see. It's interesting when I grab it right on the wrong place. No, it's inside the low. I'm just going to do that over again. Sometimes it comes in right at the... yeah. Right back at this little low. I don't think that's too terribly bad. All right, well, I like it. I didn't like it here. Obviously, that would have been the better trade. We would have already been at 5-1, I imagine. But this is the key transition we were looking at. This is where the break came, so I like it. I'm going to go ahead and get an order out here.
Order pending.
All right, slowly but surely we are upticking. We're right in the zone. We're in the right spot for this to hold coming back. So I like the entry. I like the CWAP. I like where it lines up. Stops in a good place up above this last press down. I think it really comes down to whether or not we're staying in the zone for risk. But so far that looks good. We're not even breaching the lows just to get 2-1. So we'll see. All right, we've hit it. We're not filled, but we've hit it.
Order filled.
All right, there we go. Okay, so stop's a little wider than anticipated. Let's get our risk to reward up, make it all come together. All right, so we've got 34.20 for the 2-to-1. $33.70. And let's get our 5-to-1 out there. $32.70. And we're good. So now let's just let it play out. Like everything on the chart, looks good. Just need it to come together, and this market is slow as molasses today. All right, we are right down at the first target here. Not quite absorbed, but getting close.
Target filled.
There we go. All right, well, one down, two more to go. Let's slide this up a little bit and we'll see where they are. All right. So we should at least be able to get to our 3-to-1. And then we're going to make some decisions about what to do with the stop, because once again, we've got a stop that's moving very, very slow, and that's going to happen when we've got these extended swings. A lot of volume up higher, a lot of sideways action, not carrying things lower. So it's going to tend to keep the volume weighted average price up above. And we know that we can use the transitions as ways to improve our stop without having to give up a major point in the market. So for example, you could use this high, which would get you somewhere close to there, but really what we're looking for is another hard breakdown. And if we can get another hard breakdown, we can utilize this volume here, which got get the trends. Wow, you can tell I'm exhausted today. The transition of volume through it hopefully will come here, in which case we can find a good node of volume to tuck a stop behind and really improve the stop and not just have it in a sort of floating 30 or 40 ticks up above us.
Target filled.
All right, so we've got 3-to-1 taken care of now. Good sharp move breaking through this. So let's just mark off some of these areas. Our stop is now at 35.50. Let's mark off some of these points that I was talking about. This would be obvious up at the top, but my interest is really more here, right? Because this is the volume that created the support that was then broken through. And we could even, take a look at it on this side. And that really gives us a very good solid edge of what's likely to hold. You can see both of these come in at the same place up here around the 40. So let's just take this down to 34.50. Let's just jump it ahead. We've got quite a ways to go for our 5-to-1 down below. And so by utilizing this volume up here, these two transitions, gosh, we're not going to carry this all the way back up, not after this great move down. So gives us a good spot. I'll take this one off since they're both basically in the same place. Keep the chart nice and clean. And we'll see if we can get another push lower. There we go, breaking down a little bit further, right into 3,300. All right, notice how we came right back into this transition. Right, so this is exactly why we use this type of strategy for moving stops when we need to. It's nice to have some mathematical calculation that's always moving on the chart, but there's times where the logic just needs to be visual. And if you will learn how to absorb these transitions, mark them off on the chart, and utilize them. I mean, look at this. You know, we held a tick there. So it's not to say that this is going to continue on and move lower. But what it does is it sets us up for putting stops in the right places, right? So even if it comes back through and gets stopped out, it doesn't change the fact that this is a strong strategy to use for stop placement when you're trying to make sure that you're not giving up, you know, in this case, all the way back to entry.
Stop filled.
Okay, so our stop is picked up. This ended up being a really great trade. I mean, it went 3-1. We didn't get the 5-1 out of it, but I want you to think back to the beginning of the trade and my hesitancy to get into it here. The pieces didn't make sense yet, and yes, this was a better entry, and this worked out a lot better had you gone short way up here. However, I don't think that would happen over and over and over again. You know, you're looking for consistency. And in this case, having come down and held right at the key transition and then lifting back up puts us in a range, not a swing, right? There's a reason that we call this profile the swing profile, right? And that's what the objective is. So it's not until this is broken where we see the breakdown here, and then look, we build back up, and where do we execute the trade? Well, it's exactly at the transition. Right? Just as we just used this transition for stop placement, right? So it would be easy to say, oh, look at the short all the way up here. This would be a foolish trade to take. Yes, it works this time, but will it work consistently time and time again? Probably not. Whereas something like this, where we can visually see that the range has been broken, the CWAP lines up structurally with a transition on the chart. Everything just comes together beautifully, and look at this, 3-1 and then some on the back on the runner here. I think it was just a fantastic trade.